Time is the only thing everyone receives in the exact same amount. 24 hours for you, 24 hours for me, 24 hours for the people you admire. The difference is not the amount. It is what we do with those hours. In this audio, we are going to explore how to manage your time with more clarity and more honesty. Not with toxic productivity, not with pressure to do everything, but with a calmer relationship with your day. We will talk about how your attention actually works, why you always feel you have no time, how to choose what really matters, how to say no without feeling a terrible person, and how to build a day that matches your values, not only your obligations. Take a breath. Let us start with a simple truth that people do not like to hear. You do not have time for everything, and you never will. But you do have time for something. You cannot control how many hours exist in a day. You can control what receives your energy. Many people approach time like this. They say yes to almost everything. They put more and more on their plate. Then they complain that there is no space for what they say is important. It is like trying to carry the furniture of 3 houses inside one small room. Of course, it feels chaotic. Time management does not start with a perfect schedule. It starts with the courage to accept that you are limited and to choose, consciously, what you will use yourself for. Let us begin with attention. Because time without attention is empty. Imagine you have 2 hours to study, to work, or to create something. If, during those hours, your attention is constantly interrupted by notifications, messages, sudden quick searches, you will feel busy, mentally tired, but the result will be small. On the other hand, if you have 40 minutes with full attention, you can do more real work than in 2 hours of distracted effort. So one of the most powerful skills in time management is not to be fast. It is to be fully there with one thing. Your brain is not designed for constant switching. You may feel that you are good at multitasking, but usually, you are just switching very quickly between tasks, and each switch has a cost, a tiny delay, a small confusion, a bit more stress. Imagine trying to read 10 books at the same time, one sentence from each. You will finish none of them. Your attention is like a light. You can leave it weak and dispersed, or you can focus it on one point. This is not about being perfect. It is about reducing how many times per hour you ask your brain to change direction. Now, if we want to manage our time better, we need to answer a deeper question. What is actually important to you? Not what looks important on social media. Not what your family says should be important. What really matters to you? Take a moment and imagine your future self in 10 years. If nothing dramatic changes, your life will be a continuation of the way you use your time today. Where will that take you? Will you be proud of how you spent your hours? Or will you feel that you were always busy but rarely present? Time management is really life management. Every time you say, "I do not have time for this," you are actually saying, "This is not a priority for me right now." Sometimes this is true. Sometimes this is an excuse. To manage time, you need to see that clearly. Let us move to something more concrete. A lot of people wake up and immediately enter reaction mode. They check messages, emails, notifications. The world starts asking for attention, and the day becomes a sequence of responses. Answer this, fix that, respond there. At the end, you feel exhausted, but also a little empty because you did not touch anything that is truly yours. One small, powerful change you can make is to start the day with intention, not reaction. This does not mean a 2-hour morning routine. It can be 3 minutes. You sit for a short moment or stand at the window and ask yourself, what really matters for me today? Not 10 things, not 20, 1 to 3 things. Maybe, I want to finish this project. I want to move my body. I want to spend real time with someone I love. You write these 1 to 3 things on paper. Now your day has a small compass. When you get lost in urgency and noise, you can ask, have I touched what matters today, or only what shouts louder? Now let us talk about a classic enemy of time management: perfectionism. Perfectionism looks noble. I want to do my best. But often it is just fear in a nice outfit. Fear of being judged. Fear of failing. Fear of not being good enough. Perfectionism takes a task that would need 40 minutes and turns it into a 3-hour drama. You open a document, you write one sentence, you delete, you rewrite, you change a word. You think, this is terrible. Time passes. You are not doing 3 hours of work. You are doing 40 minutes of work and 2 hours of internal fight. When you manage time, you need to learn a new skill, to decide what level of quality is appropriate for each task. Some things need to be excellent: a final presentation, a big project, an important conversation. Other things just need to be good enough: an internal email, notes, a first draft, a small exercise. Ask yourself, does this task really deserve this much time and energy? If the answer is no, then practice stopping. Practice saying, this is good enough for the function it has. You are not lowering your standards for everything. You are using your standards with intelligence. Now, another big part of time management is understanding the difference between urgent and important. Urgent is what screams: the email notification, the message, the small crisis. Important is what quietly shapes your future, your health, your relationships, your deep work, your learning. Urgent is louder, important is quieter. If you always respond to the urgent, your life becomes a collection of small fires. You are always extinguishing. Important things wait, they are patient, but they do not wait forever. There is a famous idea called the Eisenhower matrix. We will not draw any matrix here, but we can use its spirit. You can ask of each activity, is this urgent? Is this important? Urgent and important. These are things like a real health emergency, a critical problem at work, taking care of your child when they are sick. They must be done now. Not urgent, but important. These are the things that, if you ignore them, create future crises. Exercise, planning your week, learning, sleep, real conversations with people you love. Your deep projects. These need real time in your schedule. If you do not protect time for them, the urgent things will always steal the day. Urgent and not important. These are things that feel pressing, but in reality, do not move your life forward. A lot of emails, many notifications, some meetings, requests that others could handle. Not urgent and not important. You know them. Mindless scrolling, content that does not nourish you, going down a rabbit hole of random videos. We all do some of this. The goal is not zero. The goal is to be conscious. To manage time, you need to give more space to the important things that are not yet urgent. Because if you do not, they will one day become urgent in a painful way. Your health ignored becomes a medical urgency. A relationship ignored becomes a crisis. Your career ignored becomes a desperate search for something new. Your English ignored becomes an opportunity lost. Now let us move to something very practical. Planning your day. Some people plan too little. They wake up and just follow whatever appears. Other people plan too much. They fill the day with 20 tasks, no buffer, no space, and then feel like a failure when they do not complete everything. Good planning is realistic. It respects how long things actually take. One simple practice you can use. At the end of your day, take 5 minutes to plan tomorrow, not your entire life. Tomorrow, you write down 3 categories: must do, should do, nice to do. Must do are 1 to 3 things that really need to happen. They are important and have a real consequence if you ignore them. Should do are tasks that would be good to advance, but can move to another day if necessary without catastrophe. Nice to do are extra things that you can touch if you have energy, or if something takes less time than expected. When you wake up, you already know where to focus. As you move through your day, you put your energy first on the must-do. If the day explodes and you only finish the must-do, you still won. Because you moved what truly matters. Now a common problem: procrastination. Delaying. You know you need to start, but you do not. You wait for motivation, for the perfect mood, for more clarity. Meanwhile, you feel heavier, more guilty, more anxious. Procrastination is not laziness. Often it is a fear in disguise. Fear of not doing it well. Fear of not knowing how. Fear of feeling uncomfortable. One useful tool to manage time with procrastination is the 10-minute rule. Instead of saying, "I will complete this task," you say, "I will work on this for 10 minutes." You set a timer. You tell yourself, "For 10 minutes, I will only touch this task. I do not need to finish. I only need to start." Once you start, something interesting happens. The resistance often drops. You may continue after the 10 minutes. But even if you stop, you have created a small movement. Tomorrow, it is easier to return. Another helpful idea: reduce the size of the first step. Instead of, "Write the whole report," your first step becomes, "Open the document and write a rough outline with bullet points." Instead of, "Study English for 1 hour," your first step becomes, "Press play on one 10-minute video and repeat some phrases." Your brain is more willing to start small things. Once you are moving, you can choose to continue. Now, time management is not only about productivity, it is also about protection. Protection from other people's priorities. Protection from your own impulses. Let us talk about saying no. Many people are constantly busy because they say yes to things they do not truly want. They say yes to avoid conflict. Yes to avoid guilt. Yes to feel useful. But every yes is a no to something else. When you say yes to another extra task at work, you may be saying no to your own projects. When you say yes to every social event, you may be saying no to rest. Learning to say no is not rude. It is responsible. You are the only person who truly knows how much energy you have. If you do not protect it, nobody will do it for you. You do not need to be aggressive. You can say no with kindness. For example, "I appreciate the invitation, but I cannot take this on right now. I would love to help, but my schedule is full this week. This sounds important, but I would not be able to do it well if I accept now." Notice something. You are not apologizing for existing. You are being honest about your limits. Each time you do this, you send your brain a message. My time matters. My energy matters. Now let us talk about energy, because time without energy has limited value. You can have 5 free hours on a Sunday afternoon, but if you are exhausted, you will probably use them for survival, not creation. Managing your time includes taking care of your body. Sleep, movement, food, breaks. These are not separate from productivity. They are part of it. If you cut all breaks to be efficient, your mind becomes slow, irritable, foggy. You spend more time on simple tasks. Smart time management includes strategic pauses. For example, after 40 to 50 minutes of focused work, stand up. Look at something far away. Drink water. Stretch. 5 minutes. This is not wasted time. It is what allows the next block of work to be strong. Now you might be thinking, this is all good in theory, but my life is chaotic. I have work, maybe children, maybe studies. I cannot control my day so easily. You are right. You cannot control everything, but you can influence some things. Instead of asking, how do I manage my entire life? Ask, what small part of my day can I take back? Maybe you cannot control your hours at work, but you can choose what you do in the first 20 minutes when you arrive. Maybe you cannot change your responsibilities with family, but you can find 15 minutes at night for something that belongs only to you. Time management is not an all-or-nothing game. Even 15 minutes used with intention every day can change things over a year. Let us now explore a very practical tool. Weekly review. At the end of the week, sit with a notebook or a simple document. Ask yourself, what worked this week? What did not work? What did I spend too much time on? What did I not touch, even though it matters to me? This is not to blame yourself. It is to understand your patterns. Maybe you see that every time you open a certain app, you lose 40 minutes. Maybe you see that you did a lot of small tasks, but no deep work. Maybe you see that you said yes to 3 things you regret. When you see this on paper, you can adjust. You can decide. Next week, I will block some time for deep work. Next week, I will delete this app or move it from my home screen. Next week, I will say no to at least one request that is not essential. You are not trying to design the perfect week. You are trying to make this next week slightly better than the last. Time management is not a big revolution. It is a series of small corrections. Now let us touch on something more emotional. Sometimes we do not manage our time because we are afraid of what we would see if we did. If your time is always full of noise, you do not need to listen to your deeper desires or dissatisfaction. You can say, I am just busy, instead of asking, busy with what? Is this the life I want? Silence can be uncomfortable. Rest can be uncomfortable, because when you stop, you notice how you really feel. Some people avoid good time management because they are afraid that, with more clarity and more space, they might need to make big decisions. Change a job. Leave a relationship. Start something new. But here is the truth. Avoiding time management does not protect you from these questions. It just delays them. And while you delay, the cost grows. So, managing your time is also a form of courage. It is saying, I am willing to look at my life honestly, even if that means some discomfort. Before we move towards the end, let us create a small, simple structure you can try for your day. Consider this as a template, not a rigid rule. Part 1. Arrival. First 5 to 15 minutes of your day. No automatic scrolling, no emails. You sit or stand and ask, what are my top 3 for today? You write them. At least one of them is something important to you, not only urgent for others. Part 2. Deep block. You choose one block in your day, maybe in the morning, maybe in the afternoon, where you do focused work on something important. 30 minutes, 45, or 60. During this block, no notifications, no checking messages, no multitasking. You tell people, if possible, I will be unavailable for this time. Or you simply silence your phone and close unnecessary tabs. Part 3. Maintenance. You have a separate time for small tasks. Emails, messages, administrative things. Maybe 2 or 3 short blocks for that. The goal is to stop letting small tasks invade your deep time. Part 4. Closing. At the end of the day, you spend 5 to 10 minutes to review what you did, move unfinished tasks to another day, plan the top 3 for tomorrow. Then you close. You do not try to carry your entire to-do list in your brain to bed. This simple rhythm: arrival, deep block, maintenance, closing, can already change your relationship with time. Finally, remember this. You will not manage your time perfectly. Some days will be messy. Emergencies happen. You will scroll more than you wanted. You will waste time sometimes. That is okay. The goal is not perfection. It is awareness. If you notice you used your time in a way you do not like, you can ask, what small adjustment can I make tomorrow? Maybe you put your phone in another room for 1 hour. Maybe you schedule your deep work earlier in the day. Maybe you practice saying no one more time. Over weeks and months, these small changes accumulate. Your days begin to feel less like a storm and more like a path. A path you are choosing, not just surviving. Your time is your life in small pieces. How you manage it is not only a productivity question. It is a question of, who do you want to be? What kind of days do you want to live? What kind of story do you want to tell about how you used your limited hours? You do not need to answer all of this today. But today, you can do one thing. Protect one piece of your time and use it for something that truly matters to you. That is how you begin to manage your time from the inside out. Thanks for watching.